Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My last video, I'm sure my skin was looking crazy. I was in the middle of a chemical peel, and I'm about done peeling, but I still have a little bit of patches on my face that I haven't peeled, but I'm sure I'm looking brighter and even toned today. At least I hope so. Anyway, this is a story time about, I work for basically a racist company. My boss was super racist and a little bit inappropriate too, like sexually inappropriate and stuff like that. The stuff he would say and all of that. Like he didn't, no physical, like I would have to punch him. So first of all, I'm just gonna tell you guys, like how I got the job and then some of the little incidents that we had at work. Now I worked at this place for maybe 3 months shy to a year, or 4 months shy to a year. And it was my first job in Japan, and I was really excited for the job. I just went into it and I kind of ignored some of the red flags. And I'm gonna tell you some of the red flags. So I applied to this job. I found a job on Craigslist. I applied to this job. They got back to me. We set up an interview date. I went for the interview. It was awesome. I was looking good. We had good conversation. And then he asked me to look at their YouTube videos, to look at some of the stuff they do in class, and get back to him and send him an email if I think it's something I can do. So I looked at the videos, sent him back an email like before I even got home, while I was on the train. As I sent him an email, he got back to me. He was like, "Oh, I've talked to my wife and we have decided to, welcome you onto our team." And I guess that's the first red flag. Any job that hires you on the spot or on the same day is about to beat your ass. Like, it's about to be trash, honestly. Like, why? Like, because think about it. Why, if you're such a good company, why are you so desperate for employees? Like, why would you hire me on the same day? I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't just kill my interviewer and stuff like that, but even if it's what, Masa, like, I'm not saying I didn't kill my interview, but like, realistically, think about it. It's like a first date. People fake a lot of shit on their first date. People fake shit like 1 year into the relationship. Why wouldn't you want to have like a follow-up interview or even like a trial lesson or something, like something? And I made them know that this was my first teaching job. Like, I've never been a teacher before, and they still hired me on the first day, on the day of the interview. I was excited nonetheless, celebrated, had a drink and all of that. So next red flag, the first day of work, there were 2 teachers, and there were 2 native English teachers, native English speakers, which were the main teachers, and then there were 2 Japanese teachers, which were like the assistant teachers. So when I got there, I was trying to ask questions, and basically the other English teacher, he was also just hired. So I'm like, I didn't think about anything about it then, but actually I did, because I asked one of the Japanese teachers. I was like, "Girl, what's going on? How are y'all in the middle of the school year with 2 new teachers? Like, there's nobody from the past that can even train us, or like nothing?" So that was the second red flag. Like, how do y'all have no employees at the middle of the school year? How does that work out? Now, that was the second red flag. Third red flag, so before the students actually came, we had like maybe 3 days of preparation. So actually I started work on a Wednesday, I want to say, or I started work on a Tuesday. So Tuesday was preparation, Wednesday was preparation, Thursday was preparation, and Friday was the first day that the students had to actually come to class. So we had 3 days of preparations, Friday, and then that school we worked on Saturday. So we had Saturday, and then so our only days off was a Sunday, which was, I guess, another red flag, because man, how many hours am I gonna work a week? So the working hours were just too long. We would work from, I think, 9 to 5 with 1 hour break, Monday to Friday, and then Saturday it was like 9 to 2 or some shit like that. So it was just too many hours. So I guess that was the second red flag, and not for that much pay. Like, I'm gonna try to do the math and then let you guys know roughly how much I was making an hour. It was trash. Like, it was trash. But I was excited. I had a job. You could not tell me anything. Third red flag was, we did the first week. On Friday, I had to be absent because I had some stuff to do, some personal stuff to take care of. He was understanding with that. Saturday, I came to school, went to the class, did the class, and blah, blah, blah. And then on Sunday, I'm at home and I get a call from this dude. So there were two school locations. Like they had the company had two school locations at the same station, like on one side of the station and on the other side of the station. So two English teachers. The other person was a man. So the dude was at one location and I had to be at the other location. So on Sunday now, after we've had basically just 2 days of classes with these kids, which was Friday and Saturday. I wasn't there on Friday. I was there on Saturday. On Sunday, the man calls me and he's like, oh, on Monday, can you go to the other location? So let's say there's a north location and a south location. I'm at the north location, the other American guy was at the south location. So he calls me and he's like, oh, on Monday, could you go to the south location instead of the north location? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And I figured that was it. And he goes on, and he talks so much. He goes on to explain that the other dude just got up and didn't show up for work on Saturday. So, that's it for him. He's no longer employed with us. And I'm like, oh, that sucks, but that's fine. I can go to the south location. And that was it. So that was like the third red flag. Like, what happened that this dude, which I should mention has English teaching experience already, he is a teacher. So what would happen for this dude who is a teacher to quit after, 4 days of work? So I'm the only teacher now in school, and I'm fine with that. And in my mind, I assume he's looking for another teacher for the other school. So we're working and stuff like that. And let me tell you, this dude talks a lot. He talks a lot. Now, another red flag. On the first day, he gives me the little clock in paper. So when you come in, your name is on it for the month. You put it in the machine and it stamps the time that you came in, you got to school, stamps the time that you go out and stuff like that. And then it puts the total hours you've worked. He tells me I shouldn't clock in until 9:30, but I should be at school at least at 9 o'clock. Like, do you see where I'm going with this? Like, I should be in school at least 30 minutes before, but I should not clock in till he said I can clock in between 9:20 and 9:30. So when I come to school at 9 o'clock, I'm supposed to be cleaning up and getting ready for that day. And he's not paying me for that time. That's not part of my payment. Like, literally, don't clock in. You're getting paid from when you clock in, right? So when I started, like, my contract says, as most contracts do, you're going to have a probation period for 3 months. And during the probation period, they're going to be paying you X amount of money. And after the probation period, after the 3 months, it's going to go up to X amount of money. So let's say, for example, they said that after probation, they're going to be giving you $150,000 per month. But during probation, you're going to start off at $100,000 per month. And I was like, Pyong, I can do 3 months. And after 3 months, y'all are going to give me that money. And that's fine. So I start off. 3 months go by. Like, after the first month, first month was fine and peachy and stuff like that. After the first month, he actually told me that I've done such a great job. After the first month, he's gonna bring it up to 130 before the probation time finishes. I'm like, a word. So he was gonna give me a 30,000 yen increase. Month after the dude quit, they got another girl to come work there. She was there for about a month and quit too. So I was the only teacher there for the maybe 8-9 months that I was there, except for those two that literally just and went out. All right, so my schedule was, you already know about the Monday to Friday and Saturday. I would teach kindergarten from 9:30 to 2:30. I would have a 1 hour break from 2:30 to 3:30, and then I would teach elementary school from 3:30 to 6:30. From 3:30 to 6 o'clock, but I had to be there till 6:30. So basically 3:30 to 6:30. Monday to Friday, that is how my schedule was. Oh my goodness, I couldn't even breathe. And then another huge, like this job, like this workplace, like I don't even know. I was desperate. I needed the visa and stuff like that, because people really ask me, like, when they hear about it, or people that have come and left and met me, they're like, how are you doing this? Like why are you even here? Why would you let yourself go through this? But it is what it is. I've gone through it and all of that. So during my 1 hour break, now remember, there's two different schools. I'm teaching at the North School and there's a South School. Now, elementary classes were in the South School. So during my break, I had to leave the North School, walk to the bus station, take a bus to the South School, and then all of that journey was roughly about 40 minutes. And he literally told me that that's part of my break time. So not as if I'm gonna get to the other school, then start my 1 hour. Nope, my 1 hour starts at 2:30. So whenever I get to the other school, and if it's from 2:30 to 3:30, whenever I get there, I have till 3:30 to just, you know, sit down and drink some water and just breathe. That was it. So usually my break was like 10-15 minutes maximum a day, maximum, because of the movement. So, okay, we're going back to the point of I had the bump in salary. So from 100 to 130. And I had not yet received my first salary, because if you know how things work in Japan, whenever you start, you get paid the next month for the previous month. So I started in January. I wasn't getting a paycheck in January. I was gonna get the paycheck at the end of February. So the pay date was like February 20 something, like one of the last days of February. So I didn't get paid for January. I had to get my first paycheck in February. And remember, after January, they told me they were gonna give me a bump. So my first paycheck was gonna be the 100,000. Then my next paycheck was gonna be the 130,000, the new amount. So I get my first salary, my first paycheck, you know, it is what it is. Plus I didn't start at the beginning of the month. I started like January 10th or something like that. So it was from January 10th to the end of January. So it wasn't a huge bunch of money, but you know what? I was happy, I was working, and I knew that the next one was gonna be bigger. And things just started getting difficult. Like the first month that was really good. He was really encouraging. His wife was really sweet. They used to help me out and stuff like that, and, you know, try to correct me and stuff. And the second month, the first, like, things just started going like this. And the first big oop was there was one elementary student. I'm gonna give him a name. His name is Peter. So Peter was a really disruptive student. You know, every class has that one kid. He was that one kid in elementary school. And the day that he came, it was a bunch of, like, he influenced the other kids around him. So usually, like, if he's absent, the other kids are good. But when he's there, everybody's just acting a fool. So we have class that day, and that day at school, I'm at school, my boss is at school, him and his wife are at school. At that time, the other teacher was there, the other girl that they hired that came and made 1 month and left. She was in school. I was the one teaching the class though. And then there was one Japanese teacher in school. So that's 5 teachers in school. Now, mind you, the whole school is as big as this classroom. You see this classroom right here? It's as big as this classroom. So, like, things are happening, you can see everything that's happening. So that's fine. We have the class, everything's fine. Like, I'm not even aware of that something is about to come up in the future, but oh boy, it did. So after that class, maybe a week, the next week, I hear my boss's wife talking to the kid in Japanese, asking him like there's a problem, right? So they're speaking Japanese. I don't know what they're saying, so I know it probably doesn't concern me. So me and the other teacher, we're in the kitchen. So there's like a little area for the kitchen, a little area for the bathroom. So we are standing at the doorway of the kitchen. I think it was like after they had their snack, so we had to wash the dishes and stuff like we were doing work at that school. We had to wash the dishes and stuff like that. So we had just finished washing the dishes, and we weren't teaching that day. I think the owner was teaching the class that day. So we stood at the door, and then the lady stands with the kid, and then she's asking the kid, which of the teachers hit you? And I'm like, what? So it's like, which of the teachers hit you? And the other lady standing on the left, I'm standing on the right, and he goes, the teacher on the right. I'm like, oh my goodness. I was weak. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't like make as if I heard anything. I knew that after they were going to talk to me. So after class, of course, the owner calls me and he says, you know, Peter says, you know, we had class last week and he says you hit him. And I'm like, well, I ain't hit him. And he was like, yeah, like he's told the mom that. I'm like, okay, if you told the mom that, then, you know, we were all in school. And he was like, can you remember that day at class? I said, I can't remember shit. You got me working 800 hours a week. I can't even remember my name most of the time. So we sat down, we talked about it. He was like, yeah, he remembers that day. All of us were in school together. It's not that much of a big class. If I would have hit him, somebody would have seen it, or he would have reacted, or one of the and then mind you, the class has about 10 students. No student, like he said actually that the kid's mom has called some of the parents of the other kids in school to ask them about the incident. So according to him, none of the kids that they have called saw anything. They said, no, I didn't see her hit you. None of the teachers saw anything. So only this one student saw something. And that was a new school location. So they hadn't set up the security camera yet. I said, okay, I didn't hit him. He was like, all right, you know, that's fine. But he just thought he should bring it up to me and blah, 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 blah. And imagine this. So at first, when it first comes up, you know, I didn't hit him. None of the kids saw nothing. None of the teachers saw nothing. Maybe a week later, one of the kids says, oh yeah, I did hear him say, ouch, when she hit him. I'm like, I mean, it's okay. The kid leaves the school and stuff like that. So after that event happened, he comes, my boss calls me again and he's like, you know, because of this event and Peter's mom has told a bunch of the other parents, and maybe some of the other parents are going to take their kid out of the school, and we've lost his his fee money that he was paying, so we can't give you that increase that we were talking about, so you're going to still be at 100,000. And I'm like, I bet, you know, it is what it is. Let's move on to the next thing. Now, from there, literally there is not one thing you can do that was right. You know, that kind of thing? Like, you can't do nothing right. He's the only one that can do it right. And the way he taught his class, it's not like there's a curriculum. Like in math, they're learning how to add, or in science, they're learning about, I don't know, cells and stuff like that. He had literally, he printed it out word to word what you needed to say in class. From 10 o'clock that classes started to 2 o'clock. Word to word what you had to do in each section of the class. So it was basically like a memorize something. You just go to school and you recite it every day, and then there would be a complaint. Oh, you're saying it too fast. Oh, you're not happy enough. You need to be smiling when you're saying it. Oh, you need to be you're jumping only this high. You need to be jumping this high. You're smiling only this much. You need to be smiling this much. Oh, you're waving your hands like this. You need to wave it like this. That literally, that is how minute the complaints was. And then every month it would be like, oh, because, you know, you didn't do this in class, you didn't do that in class. We can't give you that raise because, you know, some of the students might leave because you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing. And I kid you not, that was the story from month 1 till month 8 that I left from there. I never got that increase. I never, ever, ever got that raise. Ever. Never. Ever. Ever. Oh my goodness. And this, like, oh my goodness, not like, yo, I can't believe I stuck at that place for that long and took that much crap from him. Because it was just, oh, lordy, lordy, Lord. So when like, oh, child, see, I can't even, okay, so we had this situation with our hypothetical Peter. And what was another situation? Okay, the elementary kids, students. So mind you, I'm working from 9 o'clock till 6:30 with like a 10-minute break in between. I'm having classes both in the afternoon and in the morning and in the afternoons. So some of the elementary school students started complaining that, you know, my classes are boring. He would have a class maybe once every 2 weeks. Now, when he would come into his class, he's basically been home all day, went to wherever, and then he would come. Of course, he has all this energy to put into the class. The kids started complaining that my classes are boring, or they don't understand what I'm teaching. And like, as they would complain like that, the next time he's having a meeting with me, oh, we had frequent meetings, shit. We had frequent meetings, and the meetings was always, oh, you know, the kids are complaining, your classes are boring, you're not doing this as I told you to do it, so we're not going to add your salary because we're afraid some of the kids might leave because, you know, your classes are boring. I'm like, you know, it's good, it's fine. It is what it is. And that's just how I kept living my life. Now, this dude is from, I don't want to give out too much information because, you know, so a girl could get in trouble. This dude was from a country, one of the top 5 countries that I mentioned in my other video, that they look for English, native English speakers from one of those countries. So he's from one of those countries. And like I said, his wife is Japanese. So he would always like say these things. Now, mind you, I told you he talks a lot. This is a dude that will come to class and literally spill all of his business. Oh, last night I had, I don't know, a nightmare about this, and this, and give you the details about it. And I had to wake up at 4 o'clock and I wanted to make breakfast, but then the eggs, there were just 3 eggs and I usually eat 4.5 eggs. Like, that is the kind of person he is. So he would always complain about his words, like, you can quote me, these effing muzzos, like Muslims, these effing muzzos that have taken over his country. He said now his country is a very unsafe place. He would never want to live there because all these Muslims have come there and they're bringing gangs and a lot of insecurity in the streets. Like, you can't walk, like, it isn't what it used to be because of the Muslims and stuff like that. He really just hates this effing muzzos and they're just ruining the whole country and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm like, I know Muslim is not a race, so I'm not sure how you would call that. I don't know, religionism, beliefism. So it's not racism, but like, you know where I'm coming from when I talk about racism. And it would, like, he always had a complaint about something. He would talk about, you know, the military people stationed in Japan. Like, and this is something that maybe I heard something related to either Muslims in his country or military or other foreigners, like American guys and stuff like that in Japan. I heard this maybe I had an average of maybe 10 to 15 conversations about all of these topics per week. That's a lot. Like, that's really, really a lot. And these conversations usually happen when I come from my break, that I use all my break for carrying myself from one school to the next school. I would come, and in my 10 or 15 minutes that I have to prepare for the next class, and during your break you have to be ready for your elementary class. So the 10 or 15 minutes that I'm trying to prepare worksheets and write stuff on the board and prepare games and put the chairs out and the tables out and stuff like that, he's busy talking about Muslims or the military or other foreigners in Japan or complaining about his situation at home or talking about something. There was always something. And I was just, really? It was like that. He never got the hint though. He never got it. Now, he made also a lot of really weird, creepy, like, I remember this one conversation that we had, like, I remember it specifically. So he was talking about when he got married to his wife, okay? He said when he came to Japan, him and his father-in-law, they had to go to an onsen. Now, if you're not in Japan, an onsen is basically a public bath. So there's like a males and a females, and you go there and you basically, you take a shower before, and then you get into, like, it's a big hot tub. So just a bunch of people just get inside and you guys just, you know, sit and chill. And if you're there with your friends, you guys can be having, you know, small talk and stuff like that. But usually people just go there, they just sit and just let the warm water and penetrate and just relax. Okay, that's what an onsen is. He said he had to go to the onsen with his father-in-law because it's one of the traditions. And the tradition was, at the onsen, he had to wash his father's back and his father had to wash his back. So it's like, we got each other's backs. That's kind of what it symbolizes. And then so he was like, when he went to the onsen, that these Japanese people are so crazy, they couldn't stop staring at him because of the size difference. And I'm like, oh my goodness, stop talking now, stop it now, don't say any more. Of course he kept talking. So he finished his little story. And then there was another time he was telling me, because he has children. So he was telling me about, you know, him and his son, they have gone to the onsen before. He was like, I'm just so lucky that he's mixed. He doesn't have this Japanese gene and he takes my size. And I'm like, oh my goodness. You're really, 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 really not talking about your dick size with me right now. And your son's dick size with me right now. Oh, lordy, lordy, lord. Oh my goodness. So... and like, just overall, like, he was somebody who he made life very, very difficult. We had, out of 365 days a year, we worked maybe 320. That's a lot of damn days. Like, we had 1 week of summer vacation. 1 week, that's 5 days of summer vacation. We had and 1 week of winter break. So 1 week of summer, 1 week of winter. That's 2 breaks throughout the whole year. And then you had just Sundays off, of course, because you work Saturdays. You had just Sundays off. And then Japanese holidays, we had that off too. That was the only thing that really saved us, the Japanese holidays, because other than that, you would be at work basically all year round. And that's just how his schedule was. And he also had this thing where there are days when, because children can only come to school so many days. Like, he had days when, you know, the kids weren't going to come to school, or maybe even he had actually weeks, sometimes weeks, like a whole week when the students don't come to school, but the teachers had to be in school. You would come to school, stay in school from 9:30 to 6:30, just like you would any other school day, and you would do preparation. So prepare crafts and just basically crafts for the next months ahead. He said, if we are in January now, he would say, all right, prepare the crafts for February. When you're done with February's crafts, prepare the crafts for March and for April and for May and for June and for... That is what you did for those days. And oh my goodness, like, yo, he was just... I'm sure there's more stuff, but this was just like my horrible time at that job site. Like, I was just tired. I lived a walking distance or bicycle distance. I lived a bus stop's distance from my job site, but I would get home and I can't even eat. I would just literally struggle and change and freshen up and just go to sleep. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to do nothing. I was that tired. By the time Sunday afternoon came around, and then I would think about it, like, I have just Sunday. I really have just Sunday to do anything. And he was the kind of person like, you sick, really? Let me tell you, there was actually sometime I caught conjunctivitis. So, you know, when you're working with kids, there's always the flu or the cough or something like that going on. So I caught conjunctivitis from one of the kids. Now, I think I'm going to show you a picture of what my eyes look like. My eyes were red, like they were bloodshot red. And, you know, I came to school and it was itching, and there was pus gathering at the corners. Like, after every 30 minutes, I had to get a tissue and then clean out the pus, because that's just how much it was, that's just how bad it was. It was really, really bad. So I tell him, you know, I'm going to take the day off the next day and go to the hospital. And he was like, oh, no, you know, oh, girl, I need you. And I was the only teacher. Remember, I'm the only teacher for 8-9 months. He said, girl, you don't need to go to the hospital. I've had this before. I have some leftover medication at home. I'm going to give it to you. Let you try it. And stupid me. I was like, all right, that's fine. He goes home. He rides his bike home. He brings the medication for me that day. He was like, yeah, use it today. Tomorrow, you're going to feel much better. You know, come to work. You're going to be fine. I start using it, and yes, it does work. It does cure whatever I have. I'm at work the next day, the day after that. I use it for about 3 days, and then, you know, my eyes clear up. It's still a little bit red, but it's not pussy anymore, and it's not itchy anymore. And he's like, yeah, you're feeling better, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling better. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna need that back. I give him back his eye drops. He gave me 2 of them. I give him back his eye drops. And you're not even supposed to share that shit, because, like, you're putting it, and it's like, even though you're not supposed to, like, touch your eye with it, it's like, God, you're not supposed to share medication. Yo. Like, oh my goodness. That was, I don't think for the rest of my life I will ever have an experience like that. So that's why where I am right now, I'm just so grateful. Like, look at me, I'm on summer vacation. There is no such thing as, I didn't know what summer vacation was at my previous job. I have like more than a month of summer vacation. We have like a 2-week Christmas break. We have spring break. We have, we have all these breaks. We have, oh my goodness. And they are paying me what they said in my contract they're gonna pay me. So actually, like, when I finally left the school and went to this my new school, my mom was like, you know what? You know we can sue him, right? For all the money he ain't give you. And I'm like, Mom, you know what? I'm just happy that I was able to get away from that situation. I'm in a better situation. Let him go with his ill luck. Like, he's gonna get what's coming to him, but I want no parts of it. I want nothing to do with it. And believe it or not, I do have a couple of people that I help apply for jobs through Craigslist. Like, maybe every month or so, I see a post from him. So, meaning he's still looking for teachers. But, like, nobody's gonna take that. Unless it's somebody who was as desperate as me. nobody's gonna take that. Nobody's gonna take that. So yeah, that was quite an experience. This just goes to tell you, kids, not all jobs are good jobs. And you know, despite all of the other multiple things that I've mentioned there, he would just say the most arrogant, ignorant things at times. I remember there was one time we went on a field trip to the beach, and before, like, we got out the bus, went to the beach, and then we were under the shade before we went out, like on the sand and stuff. I was putting sunscreen on. He was like, oh, you put sunscreen on? I'm like, of course I put sunscreen on. And then he laughs and he was like, I didn't think you needed. And you know, I think I explained it to him. I was like, well, I'm not putting sunscreen on because I'm trying to not get dark. I'm putting sunscreen on because the sun still damages my skin the way it does your skin. Like, and he would say things like about, you know, like how Africans and animals, like, I think there was one incident, okay, his wife had a weird pet. I'm not gonna say the pet's name, the kind of pet. So they would bring the pet to work, and when the pet would like come around, I would like, you know, be kind of like scared. And he's like, how can you be scared of this pet when you're from Africa? Like, you guys have animals in your backyard. And I'm like, haha, you know, I guess that was supposed to be a joke, but like, and I know there was one time he was looking for a teacher, and a bunch of Filipinos were applying. He was like, oh, I would never hire a Filipino. He was saying that based on a bad experience he's had with a Filipino, but it's like, okay, you would never hire a Filipino. Like, I would never have a Filipino work for me. I can never work with a Filipino, stuff like that. And then like concerning the Muslim thing that he used to say about his country, he was like, all the Muslims coming to my country are only men. And then like when they would question them, they would say like, how come only men are coming? Like, because they're coming as refugees. How come only men are seeking refuge when actually you need to be sending your wives and your children to seek refuge? How can you leave your country and then leave your wives back home? And then it's just like, they're not real men. They're just coming to cause troubles. They're not actually refugees. They're not running from anything. I'm like, how can you say that? How can you be sure? How do you know somebody's situation enough to come up with that conclusion and like say it to another person? I found this out later when I was already on my way out of the company, that my aunt in Japan with my uncle's wife had actually called the school and threatened the wife. Like, don't think you can treat her anyway, thinking she doesn't have family here. She has family. This is her auntie talking to you right now. I found this out when I was leaving the company, and I called her, Rico, I love you. And I called her and I'm like, Rico, did you guys did you really do that? And mind you, this happened months ago and they didn't say nothing to me, so that means she really scared them. And I was like, Rico, did you really do that? She was like, yeah, because you were complaining too much. I was really complaining. Whenever you called me, it was always something. Yeah, how are you? I'm not fine, no. Work is dealing with me. So it was always something. I was very unhappy, and she saw it. And so she called them. She was like, you know what? Let me step in, because maybe y'all think that she's in Japan, she's alone. She's not alone. I have her back. So, you know, I love you, Rico. You're just the best. And that was just my experience there. I don't know. This is, now that I talk about it, it's funny. It was very depressing when I went through that situation. And actually at the moment, like, not to be like a little hater or trying to block his success or whatever, there's a couple of girls on Facebook, like we're in mutual groups on Facebook, and I remember there was one time she came and posted, and she was like, you know, she's gone to a couple of interviews, and she just gave a brief description of like maybe the locations of the school and stuff like that. And I came to her and I replied to her message, and I was like, girl, school number 3, don't do it, don't do it, don't try, don't you dare. You better be jobless. I told her, I was like, don't do it, girl. She didn't say the name of the school or nothing, but just from like the 1 or 2 sentences she wrote, I was like, I know that school. Don't do it. Do not do it. You could do better. So, I mean, it is what it is. It was quite an experience. And look at me, I have a story to tell. So, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed my little story time. And there will be more story times to come. See you again next time. Bye-bye.